Honourable members, we shall now resume with the debate on the President's State of the Nation address. And Honourable Minister of Rural Development and Land Reform is the next speaker. Honourable Minister.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, His Excellency the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency the Deputy President, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honorable Members, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Deputy Speaker, on the 14th of February this year, the President presented the State of the Nation address to this House, setting out what government has undertaken to address the triple challenge of income inequality, poverty and unemployment. The President further set out what government is doing to give effect to the National Development Plan, which serves as our country's vision. Sekela Sondetho, ohloniphekileyo, eneneni kuliqhayiya kakhulu ukuba namhlanje thatha inxaxheba kule ngxoxo kamongameli. Ngoba le ngxoxo kamongameli ichaphazele into ebaluleke kakhulu kuMzantsi Afrika uphelele. Indaba yomhlaba, uhlengahlengiso lomhlaba. Uhlengahlengiso lomhlaba lumi ngensika ezine. Sekela Sondetho, ohloniphekileyo. Ukwabelana ngomhlaba, ukubuyisela umhlaba ebantwini, uphuhliso lomhlaba, nokuhlengahlengisa kobuni bomhlaba. Ngoba umhlaba kwelizwe usezandleni zabantu abambalwa, abantu abaninzi abanawo umhlaba. Ukusukela phaya uqala kwethu ukuthatha ulawulo lwesininzi kwelizwe loMzantsi Afrika, Sekela Sondetho ohloniphekileyo, kwaze ukutsho ngonyaka ka-2009 apho kumiselwe khona isebe i-Rural Development ne-Land Reform. Ukade siyijonge ke le ndaba yohlengahlengiso lwemihlaba ngentsika ezimbini kuphela kwezine. Sijonge kuphela uhlengahlengiso lwemihlaba okanye ukwabelana ngemihlaba, ubuyiswa kwemihlaba ubuyisela ebantwini ngamabango. Iziphumo zaloo nto yinto yokuba sajonga kwinto yokuba sizawubuyisela ii-hectares ngaphi zisebantwini. Le nto yokubuyisela ii-hectares ngaphi zisebantwini yabangela into yokuba sibe nayo le nto besithi sijonge yona i-target ye-30% yomhlaba ngo-2014 ngoba besijonge ukuba ngamanani singajonganga uphuhliso. Uphuhliso ke luyintsika yesithathu kweentsika zine. Kambe ke Sekela Sondetho ohloniphekileyo, loo nto yiyo ke le esenze ngenye indlela sakwazi ukuba kanti siyaqhwalela, sihamba kancinci. Ngoku loo nto yabangela into yoba phantsi komongameli ohloniphekileyo, umongameli uZuma, olapha kule ndlu nathi namhlanje, kube khona ke le program esisicwangciso ekuthiwa yi-Recapitalization and Development Program. Kambe kwakhona phantsi kwakho kwesikhokelo sakhe kwaba khona nale ndaba yokuthi imihlaba, ubuni bomhlaba okanye bona singake sibujonge nje ukuze sikwazi ukufumanisa indlela yokusondeza abantu bakuthi abamnyama abantsundu kulo mhlaba. Yiyo le nto phantsi kwesikhokelo sakhe siphethe sikuba nazo le nto bathi phaya xa beyikhumsha yi-40-year land tenure system, ukuthi indidi zobuni bomhlaba ezizigaba ezine. Esokuqala isigaba sesokuthi umhlaba osezandleni zikarhulumente, lo mhlaba singawuthengisi, kambe siwuqeshisele kubantu bakuthi ukuze sibasize, sibancedise futhi ngokuthi lo mhlaba ukwazi ukuvelisa. Okwesibini, ukuthi umhlaba osezandleni zabantu kungabikho izigebenga zingaka, ohili bangaka, kuze kulinganwe ngabantu apha ebunini bomhlaba, Loo nto ithetha ukuba kubantu abanomhlaba kuzoba khona iphahla, ngoba kuphahla ukuthi hayi ke awusadluli apha ngoba kukhona abantu abaneefama ezincinci neziphakathi nezinkulu kakhulu, kodwa zonke izifama zokwenza imali nokuphila. So yonke lento sixakeke yiyo ngokuthi ifama encinci, ngoba imihlaba ayifani, iNorthern Cape ayifani neSouthern Cape, ayifani noKwaZulu Natal. Nimozulu azifani, umhlaba awufani, nezinto abantu abathi bafama ngazo azifani. Jonge ukuthi ezi zinto xa umfama omncane, umfama ophakathi, umfama omkhulu, ezi zinto zizambeka phi umuntu xa sisithi nali uphahla lakho lobuni bomhlaba. So ithetha ukutsho lento abasemzini, sivena ukuba abasemzini akufanelekanga eneneni babe ngabanini bomhlaba kwelizwe, kambe kufanele baqeshiselwe umhlaba kwelizwe. Loo nto okwesine yathi ke kukhona abantu bakuthi lo 13% abokuhlala khona nenkosi sebakhonguka abantu abanikwa umhlaba bebaninzi. Sibona ukuthi laba bantu abakhokelwa zii-CPA, kukhokelwa zii-trust, kukhona amakhosi apho ahlala khona. Lo mhlaba nawo ufaneleke ukubonakala indlela yokuthi abantu abawusebenzisayo, land users, i-rights users apha kwaba bantu, abantu abanelungelo nemvume yokusebenzisa lo mhlaba, babonisane kanye ukuthi ingakhuseleka kanjani ilungelo labo lokuba basebenzise lo mhlaba. Loo nto yenza into ethi ke kufanelekile ngelixesha ukuthi thina sibonisane nabo ukuthi sizakwenza kanjani ukuze aba bantu bakwazi ukusebenzisa lo mhlaba ukuba baye ezibhankini, bakwazi ukusebenza lo mhlaba belilifa lezingane zabo, bakwazi ukusebenzisa lo mhlaba ukuze bakwazi ukuba bakhuseleke noba ubaba uselehambile okanye sekusela abantwana bodwa abazali bahambile. So yonke lento ithi umongameli usikhokelela ukuthi sijonge kanye encakancarheni ukuba abantu bakuthi bafikelela kanjani emhlabeni welizwe labo. Funds transferred to black people and communities through the various redistribution programs from 1994 to the 31st of January 2013 amounted to 4,813 farms, which translates into 4,123 million hectares, benefiting 230,886 persons, of which 50,440 are women, accounting for 1.7 million hectares in the hands of those women. 32,563 are young people, and 674 are persons with disability. To acquire this land, the state spent 12.9 billion rands. Of the 4,123 million hectares acquired, the government has since 2010 recapitalized 696 farms into full operation, employing 4,982 permanent workers and investing 1.8 billion rands in infrastructure, inputs, and strategic support. Of the 696 recapitalized farms, 332 are on cropping and 364 are on livestock. The gross income generated by these farms, which can be accounted for as of the 31st of January this year, is 126 million rands. Land acquired by the state for the restitution of land rights since the inception of the program amounts to 4,001 land parcels, that's properties, translating into 1,443 million hectares. Of these beneficiaries, 136,968 are female-headed households, and 672 persons with disabilities have benefited. A total of 16 billion rands has been spent on the program thus far. This is settling 77,148 claims, 10 billion rands for land acquisition, and 6 billion rands for 71,292 financial compensation claims. The 5,856 settled claims, translating into 1.443 million hectares, is land restored. Honorable members can already see the difference between 5,856 and 71,292 claims that are for financial compensation, that it is weighted in favor of financial compensation. This clearly shows that claimants have chosen financial compensation over land restoration. This is a reflection of poverty, unemployment, and income want. In your State of the Nation address, Mr. President, you clearly stated these as being at the center of National Development Plan's transformation focus. Mr. Speaker, taking into consideration the above analysis, it is clear that through the restitution process, the state was a compelled buyer. Prices in restitution were far higher than those paid in terms of strategic land acquisition under the redistribution programs. This is a clear indication that where the state is able to strategically acquire land, it is able to acquire more land for less money, as the state is not a compelled buyer. But even by our own admission, we could have bought more if the principle of just and equitable redistribution was actively applied. You mentioned, Mr. President, this to be the direction that the government is going to follow this year. In terms of the new land tenure system for the country, we're introducing the 4-tier land tenure system, which I spoke to earlier on. Mr. President, during the State of the Nation address, the President, during the State of the Nation address, announced the reopening of the lodgement of land claims for those who could not claim during the first window of opportunity. Ibalulekile le indaba ngoba umongameli utshilo kanye ukuthi kuzawuphinda kuvulwe ithuba kunikwa abantu bakuthi ithuba lokuba babange imihlaba bona bonke abantu abaliphosa elo thuba. Loo nto izakwenziwa kulo nyaka. Esi saziso sikamongameli sinendidi ezimbini. Esokuqala sesovula kuvulwe khange kube khona elinye ke ilungu mongameli ekulamalungu ngasekhohlo eke laphendula lo mcimbi ndabona bawushushu bayoyika lo mcimbi ovulo lemihlaba ngoba ngumcimbi onzima. Eyesibini ithi kuzawukhangelwa inyoba yoba u-1913 Natives Land Act njengoba inguye nje uphahla isilingi uzawuhlala ngoba umgaqo-siseko umile uyalawula. Ithi lento kodwa kukhona i-heritage sites, kukhona i-historical landmarks. Kaloku imfazwe zange ziliwe ku-13% of the land, ziliwe ku-87%. Kulapho zikhoyo i-landmarks zembali yabantu belizwe. Okokugqibela uthi umongameli kukhona abantu apha kuthiwa ngamaKhoyi namaSana abalahlekelwa ngumhlaba phambi ko-1913 kudala, bazawunikwa inyoba bakrobe nabo uba zeziphina iindawo ezinobuyiselwa kubo. Therefore, to reverse this legacy means rebuilding. Oh, by the way, on the many dire socio-economic consequences of the Natives Land Act, Mr. President, which you referred to, the following stand out. It destroyed a fledgling class of African farmers. Secondly, it destroyed the environment. And thirdly, it placed black people, particularly Africans, in a situation of abject, grinding poverty. Therefore, to reverse this legacy means rebuilding the class of black farmers, rebuilding the environment, and deepening production discipline for food security and sovereignty. The reopening of lodgement and the exceptions to the 1913 Natives Land Act will require massive preparatory work, which has commenced in earnest. Unlike in the first opportunity, the people will be assisted with a manual on land claims in all 11 official languages, a manual which participants in the first preparatory workshop called a Citizen's Manual for Land Claims. Another component or element of the campaign is oral history, which will be collected from those who have lived through the catastrophic effects of the 1913 Natives Land Act. The 11,740 strong Narasek youth, which the President referred to in his State of the Nation address, will be distributing the Citizens' Manual and collecting the oral history. Furthermore, there are institutions and persons that have already come forward to be part of this campaign, including the SABC, IZICO Museums, UNISA, the National Heritage Council, Departments of Justice, Public Works, Arts and Culture, and the Department of Women, Children, and Persons with Disabilities. There is a perception that land reform Madam Deputy Speaker, has failed, especially coming from the Opposition Democratic Alliance. Our contention is that it has been slow, not failed. We have completed the state and private land audit. Honorable, here is a result, a beautiful, you can see here, ohili bangaka, izigebenga zingaka ohili bangaka. You can see the brown represents privately owned land and who owns it. The majority of the people who owns it are white. You can see the Northern Cape is a privately owned land. Here is the Northern Cape. Look at the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Limpopo. These are Free State, these are owned privately and the majority is white. Therefore, our contention is that it has been slow but did not fail.
Deputy
We have
Speaker?
completed the state and private land audit. And
Will
the statistics indicate approximately 26 million hectares is state land.
Will the Minister take a question?
No, Deputy Speaker.
Continue.
The statistics indicate that approximately 26 million hectares is state land. And the a whopping 96 million hectares is privately owned land. This means that the state owns 22% of land, while 78% is in the private hands, which shows that South Africa has predominantly privately owned land. Outstanding in the audit, Honorable Deputy Speaker, in the audit process is a breakdown into nationality and race in the privately owned parcels or properties. There is an institutional challenge here. Again, it has a lot to do with the fragmented land management services of our country. The Land Management Commission is meant to address this. That's why we say it's going to be addressed soon. The political economy of restitution is that the state has paid twice as much for land for restitution as it has paid for land for redistribution because the state is a compelled buyer. The numbers clearly show who has benefited from the program. And it is the supporters of the opposition Democratic Party, Democratic Alliance. The small white landed class has benefited 10.8 billion rands from land acquired, while the majority, 71,000 working class claimants benefited a lousy 6 billion rands. This is what the Office of the Valuer General and the other institutions will address through the use of the just and equitable principle in accelerating the land reform process. In addition, the government will establish the district land reform committees as proposed in the National Development Plan to contribute to and accelerate sustainable land reform. Honorable Deputy Speaker, in 2010, government introduced the RECAP program, which serves to provide emerging farmers with a range of support packages in terms of input, strategic support and infrastructure. Going forward, the government will establish the Rural Cooperatives Finance Facility to provide much needed financial and other technical support to the fledgling class of smallholder farmers and cooperatives in both commercial and communal land. During interactions, emerging smallholder farmers and cooperatives have expressed a wish that the government could procure from them so that they could grow and be sustainable. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the State of the Nation address delivered by the President on the 14th of February is both reflective and programmatic. This approach has caught the honorable members of the opposition off guard. Mr. President, don't lose focus. If you're doing badly, they would have been showering praises over you. You would have been sitting here with the most dubious honor of being praised by people who have benefited for centuries in this land, from the resources of this land, the members of the Opposition Democratic Alliance. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.